So, excuse me. If I take question 8 as an example, question 8, and I say, oh, Tn is 2n minus 5. And we did what we did in the very first exercise. We find out what T1, T2, we then find out what T3 and T4 is, okay? T1 is 2 times 1 minus 5, which is going to be minus 3. T2, 2 times 2 minus 5, which is minus 1. T3, 2 times 3 minus 5, which equals 1. And then T4 will be 3. What you notice about the gap between each one?
Stays the same.
Stays the same. It stays the same, it's an arithmetic sequence, alright? Now, we have to show this for all the values. Like, we have to be able to show this for T 1000 and T 1001, that the difference between T 1000 and T 1001 is basically 2. We have to be able to show that. Now, here's what we're going to do. The way to do this formally is you do Tn and Tn plus 1, or say Tn minus 1 is what they're going to do. So, Tn and Tn minus 1. Does everybody understand that the number that comes before Tn, if I do T1, T2, T3, and I keep going up, the number that comes before Tn is n minus 1. In the same way, the number that comes before T10 is T9. See the way, if n was 10, the number that comes before it is 9. N minus 1 is one number smaller than n. Does everybody get that? That n, what's one number smaller than n? N minus 1. What's two numbers smaller than n? N is 2. So Tn minus 1 is the one that comes before Tn. Now, what's always the gap between two terms? So what's the gap between T1 and T2 usually? D. And D in this question is 2. What's the gap between T3 and T2? 2. So what should be the gap between Tn minus 1 and Tn? Should be 2. The answer should always be 2. No matter what the n value is, the answer should always be 2 for this question. Let's find out if that's the case. So, what's the difference between Tn and Tn minus 1? Visually, what is the difference? Anywhere you used to have an n, it's now going to be n minus 1. 2n minus 2 minus 5. And what's that turn into? 2n minus 7. Then do what the introductions ask you to do. It wants you to prove that Tn minus 1 is a constant. What's a constant? A regular number. Any regular number like 2, 5, 10, 20, anything like that is a constant. So let's try this out. So we're going to put down Tn. Tn is 2n minus 5. We're going to take away Tn minus 1. And then we want to prove that the answer is a constant. What do we do with the minus and the 2n and the 7? What do we do there? Does anyone remember? Dennis, pay attention. 2n minus 2n? Minus 5 plus 7? 2. So the difference is always 2. And we proved that earlier, didn't we? That this is always 2. We'll do one more. Look at this one as an example. Look at number 12. Can anybody tell me for number 12, what's T1? 4 minus 3 times 1, which is 1. How much is it going down by each time? It's going to go down by 3. It's going down 3 every time. What's the next one going to be? And the one after that? Minus 8. It's always the same difference no matter what, isn't it? The distance is always going to drop by 3. This means that Tn minus 1, the answer has to be minus 3. We have to prove it. Is that alright? We have to prove it. So in order to prove this, what we're going to do is we're going to find out what Tn is. We already know that Tn is 4 minus 3n. What's Tn minus 1? 3 times what?
N minus 1.
Which is?
3n plus 1. Or plus 3.
And then, which is? 7 minus 3n. Once you figure that out, take them away from each other. It's Tn minus, we have to figure out that Tn minus Tn minus 1. We already know it should be minus 3, shouldn't it? The gap should always be minus 3 for this question only. Let's see if it turns out to be minus 3. 4 minus 3n. Take away what? 7 minus 3n. What's minus times 7? Minus times minus 3. And then what happens now? 4 minus 3n. Then what happens to the 3n's? Then 4 minus 7. That's what we predicted, wasn't it? A gap of minus 3. Now, those are great. In the first 12 questions, the gaps are always the same, and you're asked, the language of the question asks you, if you look at the language of the question, the language is very specific in asking you to show that the sequence is arithmetic. It's by using that language, it's saying it is arithmetic. You got to show that it's arithmetic. You show that it's arithmetic by using this part here and proving that the answer is a regular number. Everybody alright with that?
Yeah.
Now, questions 13 to 18 show that the sequence is not arithmetic. What does not arithmetic mean?
There won't be the same.
The gap is not the same. Do you understand? The gap will always change. An example. If I was to take 17 as an example. Tn equals 2n squared minus 1. What's T1, guys? T1? 1 squared minus 1, which is 1. T2? 2 bracket.
15.
Nearly 8 minus 1 is 7. I think the next one is though. 2 times 2 to the power of 3 minus 1. 8 multiplied by 2, 16. 16 take a 1. 15.
It's not 2.
Oh, sorry, my fault. You're right. Sorry, guys. It's 2 bracket 3 squared. Excuse me. 2 bracket 3 squared, which is 18. 18 minus 1, 17. What can we safely say about? What can we safely say about this difference here?
The sequence is not arithmetic.
Good man, right? Spoilers, right? So, basically, it's going up by a different jump each time. It goes up by 6, then it goes up by 10, and then the next one, 14. We can see there's a little pattern in there, but we don't need to worry about that right now. We know, because it's a quadratic, it's not arithmetic, okay? So, what we're going to do here, this time around, is we're going to prove that... What'd you say? Sorry, the first sequence is not arithmetic. The 1, 7, 17, 31 is not arithmetic. Okay? So, what we're going to prove this time around is that Tn minus Tn minus 1 is not constant. Okay? So let's prove that. Can anybody tell me how to find Tn minus 1? Tn minus 1, guys, anybody tell me how to find it? 2 bracket n minus 1 squared minus 1. After that, we have to do n minus 1 squared first. So what's n minus 1 squared mean? It means n minus 1 multiplied by, which is minus n, yeah, minus n plus 1. Okay? And then that's n squared minus 2n plus 1. Would everybody agree that what we've only taken care of now is that we've only taken care of this part here? We haven't done anything else. We haven't multiplied it by 2 yet. Would everybody agree with that? So what we're going to do next is we're going to now multiply that by 2. So multiply the the n squared minus 2n plus 1 by 2. So what happens then? Yeah. Yeah. And then we haven't taken care of the minus 1 yet either. So the answer will be 2n squared minus 4n plus 1. Now, that is the answer for tn minus 1. What do we have to do with can anybody tell me what do I have to do with this answer here and this answer here? What do I need to do with these answers? We have to take them away from each other. And if the answer isn't a regular number, we prove that it's not arithmetic. Okay. So, what we're going to get here, guys, listen, we're going to get a tn minus 1 minus tn. So it's going to be a 2n, other way around. Tn minus tn minus 1. Okay. So we're going to get tn, which is 2n squared minus 1. And then take away 2n squared minus 4n plus 1. Okay, what happens next? Can anybody tell me? Minus another 2n squared, yeah? Plus 4n minus 1. The 2n squareds cancel. And then we're going to get 4n minus 2. Why is this number not considered a constant? It's not a normal number because the n value changes value. It means it doesn't stay the same. Therefore, the sequence is not arithmetic.